afternoon. We've got a beautiful sunny day here, and what we're going to do is have a look at some pruning. And in this case it's a really complex one because it's just a mess. Okay, if you look at this area here, it's just a complete mash of things. There's an osmanthus at the back, we've got an elaeagnus growing through it, we've got a Philadelphus coronaris aureus growing at the side of it. And what we've got to do is to try and pick out a shape within it. I call this the Michelangelo way of pruning, because Michelangelo was able to look at a piece of marble, a block of marble, and he could see the sculpture within. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to try and see the sculpture within, and then once we've established that, we're going to focus on creating that sculpture. Now we might have to obviously take some plants out. For example, in this case the Philadelphus is quite tired. There's some new shoots coming from the base. Well, that certainly wants cutting back, and we'll have a look how we're going to deal with the elaeagnus and one or two other plants in that area. So let's get stuck in. So the first thing to do is get rid of the clutter, what I call the noise. Okay, just get rid of all that noise, all that clutter, and then we'll be able to see clearly, you know, what we've got left. So let's get in there. First of all, I mean, I've actually got, there's a little olive here where we don't want to touch that. We'll leave that, but it needs moving really. But all this kind of material here can be cut back, and all this dogwood. So I'm going to just start chopping away, start to remove all this dogwood. And we'll just put that in a pile, all facing the same way. I'm just going to put it in a pile so it's easy then to take away. The thing about dogwood, it's a weed. It's really classified as a weed now, the ordinary dogwood. It just takes over and spreads, difficult to get rid of. Now I've got a plant, there's one in going right through the middle of it. And this is a difficult call because that one is probably, I'm going to work out what that is actually, whether it's a bit of the, yeah, it's a bit of elaeagnus going through it, and I think I'm going to have to lose the elaeagnus, so I'm going to have to get my saw and be a bit brutal. So in order to get a nice shape, I'm actually going to lose that. So I'm going to get my pruning saw. I have actually got an electric saw as well. We'll just have a look at that. Won't be a sec. I've got a pruning saw which I can cut it with, or I've got a little netter saw which is quite handy when you want to work a little bit quicker. So I'll show you the two. But so I could cut through with this. Just press the button, that releases it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a little bit from the back, okay, just to, and then a little bit above it I'm going to cut down to that, keeping hold of the one underneath to stop it going into any compression, and then try and get that out. Quite a lot of that. I'm going to have to cut it into bits to get this out. So I'm just going to see, just pull this out, hopefully. I'll pull that one out then. I've got a little bit more cutting there today. I've got the loppers just to cut a limb off that. Should actually. To see the pyramid over the top, I'm going to remove this right down, then we should start to see the stems, and that's what I wanted, a stem with a nice pyramid shape on top. So what I'm going to do next is to get in and start to take some of this down. Now I could use this to be quite quick. kind of outline shape of the osmanthus. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove some of those lower branches and try and create this sort of stilted osmanthus or multi-stem osmanthus, just to sort of, and then I'm going to shape the outside, and hopefully we'll be left with a nice interesting plant then. See, there's a big sort of chunk out here which needs a bit of shaping around, and then it's slightly bigger on that side, so it needs a little bit of a trim to get that. So I'm just going to trim that a little bit with a hedge trimmer. So again, we're going to just stand back a bit. You can see a little bit at the top there on that left, just to curve it round a little bit. You'll notice in the extra quarter behind, there's a lot of cornice growing through that. So I'm going to prune that bit out, all the cornice, and just clip that back a bit, and then I've got a cotoneaster to the right, which I'm just going to shape that, and then we'll have three nice independent plants, not just a mass all piled together, and they'll look good in their own right. So you're giving them their identity back, giving them their space back. And pull them out, and that's the way, not a bad way of doing it. More there to come out, but you can see it's got this slightly striated bark on the dogwood, so you can find it, so you know where it is to pluck out. Got a couple on the right to do. A shape in, looking at the central point, which we could actually, if we wanted to, cross a couple of pieces over to give us the centre. And you could tie them together to give you your, if you just tie them together like that, it will give you a kind of centre point, and you can aim for that then with a little bit of string around there. Okay, in the absence of not finding my tying tube, I've just used a bit of bungee and just put that with a bungee strap, but it will do the job just to give me the curves. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just use that on this side first to sort of cut it back to that profile, okay, and so we'll just clip it back. Could cut it with the, I've got a strong enough hedge cutter to do that and just trim it in, but for now I'm just going to do it with the secateurs. What I'm going to do, just use the hedge trimmers just to give me a nice little kind of shape on that. Come on the back. Okay, there's one or two which are a bit bigger, so I need to cut them off with my secateurs. Okay, we could have gone for an upright to contrast it a little bit actually. So there we go, just got that. And now what we can do, it's just got a bit of shape to it really, rather than just this mass of overgrown planting. Well, I hope you found that useful. So that's the kind of what I call the Michelangelo way of pruning. Find the shape within, go for that shape, that target height, see if you can find something interesting. In this case it was the multi-stems on the osmanthus looked the best that we could get out of this kind of jumbly mess. And it's important to give plants back their identity, and that's part of when you're pruning a real mass where everything's grown into each other. And if you can do that, you know, you've then got a nice interesting kind of landscape again, rather than just a mass. Clear out the noise, clear out the rubbish, find the shapes within. If you enjoyed it, click the like button, hit the subscribe, and there'll be more videos in the future. There's a whole playlist of about 30 pruning videos if you want to watch them. See you next time.